G'day, I'm Nurchin, and welcome back as we dive into the world of cryptids. Today we're going to Japan to talk about the Tsuchinoko. I'm going to break it down into what is it, reptile or yokai, is it real, and where can I find one? Turns out I can't annotate videos anymore, so I'll be sure to put all the relevant timestamps and links in the description down below. Alright, let's get to it. The Tsuchinoko is a snake from Japan that lives in the mountains. It's short, fat, and can grow between 1 to 3 feet long. It's covered in smooth, rust-coloured scales and has a brightly coloured pale or orange chest. The Tsuchinoko's appearance is iconic with its small head and wide body, causing it to have a strange shape almost like a beer bottle. That's about it for details on its appearance, because this boy hasn't been seen in hundreds of years. The word Tsuchinoko can be translated differently depending on the kanji. Most commonly the word can mean mallet child or small mallet. But my favourite is the more literal translation, spawn of soil or dirt child, which would of course make for a great band name. Now the mallet part of the name comes from the old Japanese tool, the tsuchi. It could be used as a mallet, hammer or pestle. There's even a smaller version of this tool which is actually called the Tsuchinoko. Now if the snake was named after the tool or the tool was named after the snake is kind of a chicken and the egg scenario. You see, the snake was even referenced in the Kojiko, the oldest surviving book in Japan, which makes it kind of hard to tell which one came first. But for all intents and purposes, somebody saw this snake and thought, now this boy looks like a hammer. Reptile or yokai? This part goes into what the Tsuchinoko does, but divides it between whether you think it's an elusive type of snake or a Japanese spirit called a yokai. A yokai is a monster, spirit or demon from Japan that could either be mischievous or sometimes aggressive towards humans. A lot of these yokai are based off animals or have animal traits, like of course our friend here, the Tsuchinoko. But we'll start with the snake side. The Tsuchinoko is non-aggressive, elusive, and lives in the mountains. Due to its strange body shape, it could move by slinking like a caterpillar, or it could bite its tail and roll like a wheel, like another well-known cryptid, the hoop snake. To attack, the Tsuchinoko would use its fat sausage body of muscle and launch forward like a spring. It could supposedly launch up to a few meters long, which is kind of terrifying considering it was also reported as being venomous. Yeah, bad time. And now if that isn't spooky enough for you, it could also be a Japanese demon. Now not all yokai are dangerous, most of them are harmless. Like this guy who spends all his time washing beans by a river. Good. Now the yokai Tsuchinoko could talk, kind of like its less magic form which could chirp and growl to imitate sounds. The yokai version could imitate whole languages. Supposedly when it did talk, this snake was very fond of lying. Now that sounds kind of familiar, The Tsuchinoko was also supposedly very fond of alcohol, and like a lot of yokai, you could spare a bottle or two to gain favour with it. Now considering the shape of its body, I know personally, I look a bit like that when I've had a beer or two. Now after years of being considered a yokai, enough reports came in and people started to think this snake may be real. In Japan, what we call cryptids, they call yomeis, unidentified mysterious animals. And that is now where the Tsuchinoko belongs, though a lot of people still think of it fondly as just a yokai. Reptile or yokai aside, the Tsuchinoko has a huge pop culture following in Japan. He's appeared in many series such as the Pokemon Dunsparce is based off the Tsuchinoko, as is the character Noko from the show Yokai Watch. You can catch one as a pet in Monster Hunter World or catch one in a rat trap in Metal Gear Solid 3. And then there's this. Yes, well, good. So here we are, is the Tsuchinoko real? While no one's ever caught one without killing it, losing it, or just catching a normal snake, there is a lot of evidence to support it may have once existed in Japanese history. There have been lots of appearances of the Tsuchinoko in Japanese pottery and even the Kojiki, which dates back all the way to the 8th century. But what about modern sightings? Yes, while not very well documented, there's been lots of reports of sightings of this cryptid within recent history. In rural parts of Japan, there's been lots of sightings of it in riverbeds and near bamboo crops. In certain parts of Japan, sightings of this creature became so common that the local government offered rewards up to 100 million yen in Itoigawa in the Niigata prefecture. Volunteers would form Tsuchinoko hunt parties and scour the mountains in search of this elusive snake. Now as an Australian, the idea of tromping through long grass looking for snakes is buck wild. With 5 out of 10 of the world's most venomous snakes in Australia, you probably end up driving back to the hospital with old mate Baz in the back seat, turning blue. Keep in mind the Tsuchinoko was reported as being venomous. Another problem is, the more people you have tromping through the grass, the more noise you'll make to scare off snakes, especially an elusive one. These hunts have also been criticised for not going far enough into the mountains, but I'm sure that's just a safety thing. So, what have these people been seeing? Well, the short answer is snakes. That's it. Your average person struggles to identify certain species of snake unless it has a very distinct identifier. There are plenty of rust-colored snakes, even in Japan, such as the mamushi. I think that's what it's called. There's also a widely reported incident of somebody catching a Tsuchinoko and it just turned out to be a tiger keelback, which doesn't look anything like a Tsuchinoko. But of course there is an identifier, the snake's thick body. Well, that one might seem a little obvious. As you may know, snakes are capable of opening their jaws very wide and eating food much larger than their head. They're not actually dislocating their jaw, it just happens to look like that. So you find a normal snake, it eats some food, and bam, you've got yourself a Tsuchinoko. And on the note of obvious solutions, the last culprit is the humble lizard. Most lizards, like the skink, have heads smaller than their bodies. It's assumed by many that most sightings of the Tsuchinoko in recent history have just been lizards that are too hidden or moving too fast for you to see their legs. Yeah, it's that simple. And lastly, I'd be remiss to not mention the Tsuchinoko's apparent taste for alcohol. Its affiliation with alcohol could explain somebody wobbling home hammered drunk, seeing a snake and thinking, now this boy looks like a hammer. But our search for the unknown doesn't end here. I happen to know a guy who's never let a lizard get in between him uncovering a mystery. That man is Wendell Elmwood. Over to you, Wendell.
Why, thank you, Nurchin. The Tsuchinoko, Well, I've never been one to turn down a cryptid hunt and a 100 million yen won't go shy. Sounds like my kind of job. Let's go.
This cryptid is located in the dense forests of Japan, and after a few days, I was able to collect enough money to buy some stock footage of an aeroplane.
Here we are in the remote Japanese mountains in search of the elusive Tsuchinoko. Apparently he's pretty hard to find, so I've brought along a little brewski in case this snake wants to get sauced. You ready for an adventure, Rob? Alright, let's go.
Now, if you want to find a Tsuchinoko of your own, just remember, it lives very deep in the mountains of Japan, found in water or bamboo, and don't forget they are venomous with a long leap.
My word! I think I found one! My god, it even talks! This here is the fabled Tsuchinoko. Pardon? Oh, it's saying it isn't the fabled Tsuchinoko. My apologies, you had me fooled. I guess we'll look elsewhere.
Wait a second. What?
Thanks for watching and I hope you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe, and if you want me to report on a certain cryptid or region, be sure to comment down below. See you next time.